All right. Hey, Mikey, you are just in time. Welcome, everyone. Glad to be back home. Boy, it was a struggle getting home from Philly. I guess I'll do that first. It's not really. It's a first of all, just if you're under your car manufacturer's warranty or you've got AAA or something, just I mean, even if you haven't used it, just feel good that you have it because I went through a little bit of an odyssey from Sunday to yesterday, getting back from PAX. That was nightmarish already, but it would have been even more nightmarish if my car hadn't been under the manufacturer's warranty, which it actually it's pretty close to being out of the warranty, and I would have been out of luck. Basically, I come out of PAX. I had a really great Sunday, and I'll get into that element of it. But you pack up all your stuff. I checked out of the hotel in the morning, done stuff. It's like 2:30, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and getting back to the car, and it's only a couple hours drive, even with if traffic's not awful. Hey, Ian, traffic's not awful. It's just a couple hours drive from Brooklyn to Philly. Get to the car, pop the trunk, put everything in the trunk, get in the driver's seat, hit that button, start up the car. Car goes nutso. The one thing I can hear, and I'm not a car person, I've never been particularly mechanically inclined. I'm a city person. I didn't have cars. My family, my close family, we didn't have cars until I was an adult, basically. Well, at least high school. Didn't have cars until I was in high school, and I didn't really learn to drive until college. And it was a long time before I owned my own car. I think I was in my 30s before I even owned my own car. So I don't have a background. I could tell it's not ticking over, but our car is a 2021, I think, Subaru, and I love my car. It's a great car, and everything's computerized. So you're pressing a button to hit the ignition. It's a button that's not any kind of manual switch, and just lights are going. I can hear the tick 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 tick, which I do know tells me something's not turning over. Light, and the thing is, what's doing is it's doing this, giving me this amazing light show in the car, and you can't stop it because it's not like if you have a manual, a key in the ignition, you're turning it, you can just stop it, turn back, stop. With the computer, if the computer doesn't allow you, there's really no, if the computer doesn't allow you to the button to turn off, you can't turn it off. So I'm doing all this crazy stuff's happening, and I'm thinking like, oh my gosh, why why is this happening to me? Why? I just want to go home. I'm already tired. Everything's going on. So the car's not turning on. All this is going on. Of course, it's doing all this madness. Whatever is in the battery, because if it is a battery issue, it's just draining the rest of the battery, which it did. By the by the later that afternoon, and the other thing too is all the locks and everything is all right. It's all computerized. So once the battery goes, if you would get out of the car and have locked it, you can't unlock it because it's unlocked mechanically through the key fob. So that was a whole other thing. Hey, Derek. Derek says they love and still drive their 98 Impreza. Yeah, I've always been in love with the Subarus, Imprezas. Frankly, from playing games like Gran Turismo, I always enjoyed driving the Subarus. They were always I just loved the way they drove in the game. And so we ended up getting one. We have a cross track, which is essentially the same as an Impreza. The body's slightly different and it's just more elevated off the ground, but essentially it's basically pretty much the same car, I think, otherwise. So I'm looking around. I'm like, okay, I don't think we have AAA. It's we didn't, we our insurance, we don't have that coverage for insurance, and so now I'm panicking because I'm in Philly. It's Sunday afternoon. Stream froze. It's not showing my stream freezing. Someone let me know if the stream is freezing for others. Stream doesn't seem frozen for me. Frozen? Okay. Well, hopefully it's not frozen, but I'll hear it from the chat if it is, because then I'm telling the story into the void. In any case, so we don't have coverage through insurance. We don't have coverage through. We don't have AAA. Okay, video froze, but it's good. Let me try doing something here. I'll just hide for a minute. Let me know if that helped. I'll try doing it that way. Stop video, start video. See if that fixed it. So in any case, We don't have coverage. Don't have coverage through insurance. Don't have coverage through something like AAA. But we are still, and I was talking to my wife. My wife is going. She's taking my daughter off to see the Rockettes, so she's kind of not at home, and so she's kind of on the road. So I'm trying to, hey, do we have anything? Because I'm kind of freaking out here. Um, I look through our car stuff and I say, okay, let me get on Subaru's website. And sure enough, we are covered under the warranty still. So I contact Subaru. They get a guy coming out. So they get a guy with a tow, comes out with a battery. Because you have to say when you're going through this thing, they ask you, well, what do you need? I'm like, I guess a battery, a jump. But I don't know. I don't know if it's a jump. So the guy comes out with a jump. Car won't turn over. I mean, it's clearly something's going on, at least it's battery related, because battery at this point is pretty much dead. But when he plugged the jumpers in there, things started to kind of come to life. Thing is still not kicking over. Now, here's the thing where I feel like when you're dealing with these bureaucratic organizations, the first person I talked to on the phone, they're telling me X, Y, and Z, and I'm thinking, look, they're like, well, we could tow it. We got to tow it to a dealership, and I'm like, look, I know there's a dealership in Brooklyn. Get me a tow back to Brooklyn because I'm in Philadelphia. I'm not from Philadelphia. I don't live in Philadelphia. I need to get back to New York City, which isn't all that far away. Like, can we get it towed to the dealership? First guy's like, sure we can. Let me work on that. Somewhere along the way, I ended up getting into some other case manager, some other thing. And then that case manager says to me, well, we can get you to Brooklyn, but you have we can give you up to 15 free tow miles. So the total past those miles to get to Brooklyn, you can almost see a little calculator in the background. It's going to cost you $900 and something dollars. And I said, forget about it. I can't pay $900 for this tow. I'm still under warranty. This essentially is your problem. The car is sitting in a parking lot, hasn't moved in the garage for 3 days. Came on Friday and now it's Sunday. This is, and I'm under warranty. This is all your stuff. So what are you going to do? Well, we could tow it somewhere local. And and I'm like, look, and I'm telling him, listen, pal, it's at this point it's 5:00, 5:30 on a Sunday. Nothing's open. And what am I supposed to do? I don't live here. I can't just go home. Luckily for me, I'm in, I guess they call it Capital District Philadelphia, essentially downtown Philly, or at least a kind of part of downtown Philly. And the parking garage is literally attached to a hotel. And my phone is dying at this point because I hadn't really charged it through the day because I thought, well, I'm going to be in the car, plug it in the car, drive it. I go, let me get to the hotel, figure out finally, like, can you put me up in this hotel that's right here, and we'll take it to the, you can take it to the dealership in the morning. So we end up getting that straight. So I stayed. So Sunday night, I thought about doing something, recording something. I'm in a DoubleTree, and look, the DoubleTree was nice, but listen, DoubleTree by Hilton, I guess at this point, no free Wi-Fi if you're not signed, no room Wi-Fi if you're not signed up for their honors program. And I think I was, but I couldn't find my information details to see if I was in their Hilton honors or whatever program it was, and I was just too frazzled to find out. Just give, the rooms were $200+ a night. I feel like you could give some folks some Wi-Fi in the rooms. So while I'm sitting there, and I'm just, I'm thinking I could have had this whole rant and streamed it Sunday night. I probably could have recorded it and uploaded it, but I was on my phone internet still because there was no Wi-Fi in the room unless you were signed up. So that was kind of a bummer. And then, of course, the next day, what happens is, again, working with us, like, okay, we got the tow truck here. Now we're able to jump my car. Somehow something happened with the battery. Now it's taking a charge again. We're able to get the car out of the garage. We get on a flatbed truck. The guy says, okay, I'm going to take it to the dealership. I say, great. Should I hop in and ride with you to the dealership? And the guy says, I'm not sure that's a good idea because I don't think the dealership's going to be able to deal with it today. And I'm thinking, like, what am I supposed to do? Now it's Monday. I'm still in Philly. Like, what am I? This is starting to turn into one of those movies where your car breaks down in the small town and you're stuck there for a week because you're waiting for some part, some European manufactured part. I'm like, come on. I'm thinking, like, what the heck? So we get back so I have to go back Subaru all back and forth. But now, yesterday, they'll tow me to Brooklyn and not charge me some obscene amount for non-free tow miles, whatever that's supposed to mean. So I finally got back yesterday. That was a ton of fun. Frederick says, go to the TA truck stop. They got a Subway and a Fork in the Road restaurant. Well, hey, like I said, I was fine in downtown Philly. It's not wonderful. You have Reading Terminal Market, which is good, but Sundays it's basically closed. It was just a weird. It was just a kind of a horrible way to end PAX. I'm glad I didn't get stuck with paying a lot of money, which is I go back to my original point. If your car is out of warranty, everything, I would think about getting some kind of AAA coverage because thankfully, because this would have cost me, it could have cost me an ungodly amount of money to try to figure out how to get home. I might have been sleeping in my car last night for all I know, given everything. So I was just thankful that the car was covered, and it makes me feel like, you know what, after our coverage, our official coverage runs out, which I think is not going to be too far away. Need to get something else. Krister, I am home. Right. Yeah. I'm not still stuck in Philly, and I'm at my normal streaming setup. So now that I have established I'm home, it was crazy, but I'm home. I can get on to getting to PAX. So I arrived at PAX on Friday, and I remembered. So this time around, my hotel was not as close to the convention as I had hoped. About maybe I don't know. I feel like when you say it's probably I'd say like 10 city blocks away, half a mile more or less, which is not terrible. I'm a New York City person. I'm a city person. I don't mind walking around a little bit. The other last year when I was there, I was across the street from the hotel. I got to figure out how to do this. I just went through PAX's online kind of because when you sign up for the convention or when you kind of get your stuff from the convention, you can use they have basically their own booking tool for getting hotels, and I just used their booking tool. But it put me a little bit further away. But that's okay. I saw other people from the convention were staying there anyway, so I got all my stuff settled. I drove out of here. I think 10:30, a little bit, and then I ended up getting to the uh, to Philly. I think at 1, maybe 12:30, 1 o'clock, something like that. Video's frozen again. All right, hold on a minute. Let's see. All right, am I unfrozen? I'm not sure what's going on. Nothing on my end is showing frozen. But sorry, it's freezing for you guys. Let me know if that trick I just did unfroze it again. If it hasn't unfroze it again, okay. Yeah, just let me know. I guess there's something going on. I'm not getting any messaging on my end, and when I look at my dashboard that shows a mini me streaming, it still shows me moving. So if call out if I'm frozen. So I go and since I got there early, I was like, let me get to the convention, just kind of walk around. I'll check into the hotel stuff later. My stunning beauty is freezing the camera. Yeah, something like that. I did manage to, so I don't know. So I go get my media badge, and there was like a little goodie bag waiting for me, which was kind of nice. I was not expecting that at all. And the highlights were, I got this. This was in there. I have no idea what this is. I mean, obviously it's a game. Flourish. It looks nice. Looks pretty. Back of the box. A beautiful card drafting game with several ways to play. So that was really nice. I'm not sure if this was a some kind. I mean, obviously it's something kind of promotional. Some sort of promotion. Ian says my bit rate is low. Interesting. There's something else I can look at for bit rate, but I'm literally at this moment the only one in the house. So if there's any time I should have the best possible internet, it should be now. But let me do something here. Helps at all. Yeah, it seems nice. Here's the back of the box. It seems really nice. I never found out that it's weird because they kind of throw this stuff, and they threw also some cyanide and happiness stuff in there, and I gave some of it to my daughter. One of them, not familiar with the cyanide happiness stuff, but one of them looked like it was like a face, but on the other side it was just a butt. I don't know what that is. This was another one that I got. Some interesting dice. The Rogue dice set. And I guess it's kind of got these funky shapes. See if I can open this. I didn't think of cracking up. Oh, it opens up. This is from Poly Hero Dice, I think is the name of the dice themselves. They're all these weird shapes. I think, is this a thing now? These weird dice shapes. So there's a D4, but it's kind of looks like a dagger, a stiletto. That's kind of cool. And there's this. I'm not sure what this is. Oh, it's a bag, like a loot bag or a bag of holding. And this is a looks like a D10. We've got another kind of overstuffed bag. Might also be a D10. Oops, it's not. There we go. And then this, some kind of jar amphora thing, an arrow or a dart maybe because it's so thick. That one looks like, I'm not sure what that is. I'm not even sure how I would roll this one. How do you think this one works? Because you got two sets, and I guess it's just depending on where it lies. I guess only one of them will lie flat. This, I'm not sure what this is supposed to be in terms of the thematically. And then this looks like a barrel. Cool. So that was kind of unexpected. Excuse me. There's another other couple things in there as well. The one thing I actually purchased was this. I'm hoping I can play this with my daughter and my wife. It's really neat. The game, it's very visual. So what happens is that you end up, when you get everything constructed, you'll have this basically this platform here, and these blocks, the blocks here are really kind of thick, chunky ceramic. I think they're actually clay or something, or they have a real clay feel to it. It actually says 40 clay blocks, and then you're kind of constructing things. You have cards you're trying to meet, but you're actually visualizing it, and everybody has their own angles. So you're kind of doing stuff, whereas because you're sort of looking at this platform and you're kind of building. It has, and all the pieces are kind of Tetris-like. So it has this. I think you're still kind of doing things. Seems like kind of two-dimensionally, but using a three-dimensional way to kind of, so that you're looking at it. You're sort of looking at your view, and then someone else could be on their side, and they have a different kind of view. Pretty neat. Oh, a gemstone. Oh, you know what? That makes sense. I don't know why I didn't think about that. Yeah, it's most absolutely a gemstone. Yep. I don't know why that didn't click with me. Yeah, they're nice color. I think the only thing with these, like on the gemstone, the numbers are a bit small. And I'm guessing it's going to be that you're going to roll it and you're going to land on a number. Like it would be like that, and then it would be that number that's on the bottom, I guess. But hey, I can't complain. Can't complain about that. Let's see. Hold on a second. One thing. Oh, I didn't get a mug this time. I didn't get a mug. I forgot to bring my mug, and then I thought, well, I don't feel like I need another mug. And plus, I'm trying to cut down on the sodas and things, and buying the mug, and then I didn't want to buy a mug and throw out the soda, and I didn't want to drink the soda. I feel like one mug is probably good. Maybe every other year I'll get a mug, or maybe I'll get one at PAX East this year, or maybe I just feel like one mug's enough. There was a bunch of, let's see, this one so some stuff I'm going to go through this ash can edition. So I met up with Tony from Plus One XP. Let's see, I met up with a bunch of folks up there. I saw John of 321 Action Fame, and he gave me this little. He was giving out these pamphlets for 321 Horror. Ran into a bunch of folks like that, so it's nice to connect with them. Connected with Kirby from what's it called? Disaster. Oh, why am I spacing out on his company name now? Disaster. Hold on, I'm going to look it up because I don't want to forget. Disaster Tourism. Very nice. Had some. So I guess I'll just go through it. So Friday, I just kind of messed around. Walked around. I always feel like it takes me time to. I know. Here's what I feel like. I feel like it takes. I got to figure out how to get in the groove faster. I feel like it takes me a while to get my sort of legs underneath me, get comfortable doing the sort of meet and greet, saying hi to people and talking to them. And it felt like Sunday is when which is why the irony is that I had such a horrible time Sunday afternoon, but the earlier part of Sunday was really fruitful because I got to talk to a bunch of people. I went around. I went and visited. was it Kobold? Um, was it again Kobold Games? I went and talked to a bunch of folks. I didn't get them on video, but I'm hoping to be able to arrange some. So hopefully you'll see a bunch of videos or interviews, streamed interviews in the near future from folks that I made contact with. We exchanged information and got them out there. Um, hopefully those will be a lot of fruition. But I feel like it takes me a while to kind of get comfortable, kind of get in my skin and do it. And I also try to avoid. I feel like Saturday is not the day that I want to try to Kobo Press. Thank you. My brain is still mushy. Yes, Kobo Press. I had a really great conversation with a lady named Megan, who I think is the chief editor, or I think she's like the head editor there now at Kobo Press. Had a really great talk with her, and they have some stuff coming up. They have one, I guess, that just got kickstarted that is something to do with city and town building. And I'm hopefully going to be able to talk to some folks over there, at least maybe get someone get to talk about that. And but she was really nice, and she was very nice, spending some time just kind of talking with me about all kinds of stuff. I asked them how they felt about the fifth edition one D&D situation, and she said that basically all the publishers are just kind of waiting. They're really just waiting to hear. They're sort of planning their contingency plans depending on how 1D&D seems to go. If it ends up being basically 5.5, they're kind of rating their plans that way. And also if it ends up being more of a 6E, more of a drastic change, they're kind of waiting. So they're all just kind of waiting to see what happens and then just trying to make plans. So that was interesting to hear from from a publisher standpoint, which is good. And this is just some water for the working man. Made it over to Free League. So I did a lot of my talking to publishers on Sunday, because what happens on Friday, I wasn't ready yet. Saturday, it's just too busy, and I'm very mindful of, I want everybody, so I'm there, I'm there to talk to people. I'm there to do whatever. And I feel like I don't want to get in the way of them. Why are they coming to the convention? Not really to talk to me, but to talk to customers and make sales and everything. So Saturday is always the busiest day. The last thing I want to do is try to pull these folks away from potential sales and whatnot, and stick my head in there and when they're all at their busiest. So I find that Sunday it's more relaxed, especially in the earlier part of Sunday, where then I feel like, okay, I can kind of catch them when the floor is slow, and I can maybe talk to them. Like when I got that look at the Blade Runner set at Free League, that was a Sunday because it's just kind of quieter at that moment. And then I felt like, okay, do you want to come on video? The Free League people are, as always, they're just kind of awesome. And I don't want to be the person that's like, oh, they give me stuff, they're awesome. They're awesome because they're just very nice. If they didn't give me anything, just I feel like the way they treat people, me as someone who is talking about them, and I think people who are their, customers, they're just super nice. So I went on Sunday. So what happened was, so there's the thing with Free League was this. So I'd been asking, there's a PR person who's in Sweden who is awesome. And I kind of talk to them sometimes. And I think they had sent me an email about, hey, this Blade Runner RPG is coming. And I said, great. I said, is there any way that I can, get sort of a physical copy, or is anything kind of get like, is there a way to get the physical box? Because I think that people really like to see it. And I think they do such a great job with their boxes that just looking at the PDFs doesn't do them justice. And they were like, oh yeah, great. We'll put you on the list. And then I was thinking about it, and I said, well, hold on a minute. It's going to be, and they said something like, Christmas, it might get crazy with shipping and things like that. And I said, oh yeah, I said, hey, wait, I'm going to be at PAX Unplugged. You guys are going to be at PAX Unplugged? You were there last year. I assume you're going to be there again. They said, yeah, we're going to be there. And I said, well, why don't, instead of shipping me a box and paying for shipping and all this stuff, like, why not? I could just stop by your booth and I could just say hi and I could just pick one up from there. And they said, okay, great. Well, that'll be fine. I think he even gave me a name, which I didn't even look up. And I was like, okay, great. So then I get to PAX and I think, okay, Sunday, let me stop by the well, actually before that. So this all happened. And I think it was like Thursday night or might have been Friday morning. I'm looking at my inbox and I see this email of a shipping confirmation from Free League. And I'm thinking like, what? I was like, oh no, I think they shipped me a box, but it doesn't say what's in the box. It just says like shipping. And I'm like, but it's gotta be the Blade Runner thing that whatever. So I'm not sure what to do now because I don't know if they're holding a copy for me. If there were communications at PAX, like I don't know what's going on. So then when on Sunday I go to the PAX, I go to the Free League booth and I say like, hey, I'm Todd, and I talk to the person over here, and it's kind of weird because they I asked about the Blade Runner RPG box, and I was gonna pick it up from you here. I'm not sure if they talked to you about it, but I think they might have sent it. I think they might have sent it already, but I don't know. So the guy goes, and he's the guy that I interviewed, the gentleman who I guess is a fellow. I didn't even know this time. I thought he was just a Free League guy, but is a fellow creator. He's like, well, let me look at the shipping. Let me look at the shipping confirmation, because a lot of times they'll put kind of the name of the thing in that confirmation number, so you can tell. So okay, I pull up the email. I'm like, hey, here's the thing, and he's like, He's like, no, it wasn't clear. And he's like, okay, well, just take another bot. Just take another one. And I'm like, I don't like, he said, I said something like, I don't want to double dip on you guys. He's like, no, just hey, if you get home and there's another one, then give it away. So here I have a GM screen, a Blade Runner core, and a Blade Runner starter set. And sure enough, what do I find when I get home and I go to the package room in my building and I look in the box and I get a box. It says Free League. I open it up. I've got inside a core set, a GM screen, and a starter set. Now, keep in mind, I just want to say for the record, in all of this, I only asked. I said, "Hey, would you mind if it's fine and dandy?" I only asked for, was like, "Hey, I'd love to see the starter set." So the fact that both times they're just like, "Oh, here's the starter set. Here's the core rules. Here's the DM screen," is just totally beyond anything that I actually had requested from them. And somewhere in here, they also gave me a dice set. I didn't get that. They didn't mail me the dice set, but at PAX, a set of the dice. I'm guessing there's probably some kind of set of dice in the starter set too. There's some nice dice. So long way of saying is, it's a good time if you want to join, either through channel members or through Patreon, because I'm going to be giving these away. I got extras. They got to go out. This is Free League. They're very, Ian says that, they've only played Vaesen, but they seem very cool. They are very cool. Every interaction I've had with them. And now look, keep in mind, I'm very proud of the community that I've built for years, right? But keep in mind that from a YouTuber, content creator standpoint, my channel is minuscule, right? It's like beyond tiny. I mean, yes, I'm over 1,000 subscribers and whatever, but like I'm on the YouTube landscape, I'm a blip. And for them to be as kind of nice and generous and just giving me the time of day at all, I'm just super just grateful and thankful and just kind of awed by it. So I'm going to give some of the stuff away. So I got to figure out how to do it. I will hopefully try to get it done for the holidays. I mean, I know famous last words for me and scheduling things, but it's gonna, channel members and patrons will figure out how to get it done. But I'll probably give these out in 3 things so that I can spread the love around. So someone will get the core rules. Someone will get the screen, or maybe I don't know if I'll have to bundle the screen together. So maybe I'll bundle it in 2, screen and core rules, and then the starter kit. I'm not sure how I'll have to figure it out. That's coming. That's coming. And just thanks again to Free League for just being so kind. I mean, I would have been totally fine if the guy just said, "Hey, you know what? That's cool. Wait to see what they get or whatever." And I would have been like, "Yeah, man, I totally get it." And then he was nice enough to get on camera with me and work through the box. Derek says they got theirs last week and it's beautiful. It is beautiful, and that's the thing. I mean, that's why I asked if I could see the physical set, because the game is so, all their games are so beautiful. The dice are wonderfully chunky and have nice heft to them. The art and everything is amazing. They have all kinds of handouts. And if you, I don't know if you saw that the video I posted the other day, I guess it was yesterday, you know, they've got dossiers in there and all kinds of stuff. And I'll be going through, so we'll go through the Blade Runner RPG. I'll do an unboxing. I'll do that as a separate stream, maybe an unboxing and then kind of a look through some of the rules and stuff, because I do have the PDF, so I can pull them on screen nicely. But we will go through those, and we'll do that separately. But Free League, just if you want to, it's you know, for everything I understand, if you're looking to support some game developers who seem to just do everything kind of the right way, it doesn't seem like you can go wrong with Free League. They were interesting because I was talking to him and he mentioned, you know, because I asked them kind of about how Blade Runner was doing, and I think they said it was a little bit of a, maybe not doing quite as well as they had hoped, or maybe a little bit of a challenge for them. And I was thinking about it because I think they said that like Alien is just gangbusters, like people just jump on Alien, you know, as soon as it came out. But Blade Runner's been a little bit slower, which is kind of interesting. But I think as I was saying, I think it's a little bit more difficult to see how you're going to do the blade running thing, because yeah, it's this kind of far-flung future state, but it is also a very kind of gritty, you know, sort of detective story, and you kind of, I can see how people could struggle to see how they would play in the Blade Runner. I almost feel like it would make a really good solo, or like a lone wolf kind of RPG, whereas one player is just the Blade Runner, and then you have the GM kind of situation. So you're trying to think of how is this going to work with a team. I can see why folks would be a little bit like, I'm not sure what to make of it, kind of thing. But I'm really excited to get into the rules because it seems really, really cool. And that was probably in terms of, I mean, there are lots of highlights. Oh, so, and I'm kind of going out of order here. Hey Scott, I was just about to get to your game in a minute. Blade Runner is definitely an old brand. Yeah, I don't remember if there was. I don't know if there was there any. I'm sure there was probably in the 80s or 90s some kind of other Blade Runner adaptation to tabletop, but I don't remember it. I did also stop by. This was also on Sunday, I think. Inkwell Ideas, you know, the folks behind Worldographer, and they gave me one of these, which is kind of their version. It's a little. Let me get the plastic off here so you can see it. I did something I noticed at the con. This is the only one I picked up, but if you recall, 1985 Games had come out with these sort of adventure decks, or these kind of plot decks. They use this sort of orcs system for being able to generate adventures and things on the fly. So a lot of other people I noticed, and it's probably not just immediate, I just happened to notice them. I saw a lot of other vendors and people had kind of decks of somewhat similar size. A lot of them, I think, were concentrating on kind of one card as one thing, as opposed to what 1985 Games had, where you're kind of drawing cards for different parts of the plot. So Inkwell Ideas has a set that I think it's just coming out, or they kind of put it together. And I'll probably do these in their own, but you get stuff like, you know, an aristocrat, and then a well. And these are more, they're not giving you story elements like you are in orcs. But they're giving you this kind of just imagery of places, people, places, and things that you can then lay out. You could probably do some kind of tarot layout if you wanted to. So you have a merchant here, and then on this side, astrolabe, I guess, wizard's tower. And so you can take, you know, 2, 3, 4 of these, flip them over, and get a plot. You know, get sort of the seeds of a plot hook if you want to, or if you just, I'm sure you could probably divide these into NPCs and places, and then you could just have, you need a place, you could flip it over. You need an NPC, you can flip it over. They're kind of, you know, they are sort of kind of 5th edition centric in terms of the art. You know, this is obviously what, a tiefling kind of type, though it doesn't say, so it doesn't have to be. You have laborer, whatnot. So that was really nice that they, and I always just feel weird because it's like, oh, since you visited, here's this thing. And I'm like, you know, I came to say hi. And I also came to say that like I loved that addition to Worldographer where you expose the seeds and you put the previews there. And I was just kind of like I just wanted to say, hey, you didn't have to hand me something, but I'll take it and I'll do something with it. Derek says that they're an old school guy, but Free League is really costing them with Alien, Blade Runner, next year's Walking Dead. Yeah, I saw they had they have art for the Walking Dead. I don't think they had the actual game out, or maybe I even just missed it. But yeah, Walking Dead's coming, which is another cool property. They're getting a lot of these properties, and their system seems to be pretty well. The core of their system seems to be very flexible. They're able to kind of make changes to it. It reminds me a little bit of. I mean, obviously, it's not as simple as like the white box, but the way that in the '70s D&D was able to take the white box and then just kind of tweak it, add some stuff, and then you get top secret over here, and you get Gamma World and Metamorphosis Alpha over here, and then you get Boot Hill over here, and you could just kind of find these different things. I mean, D20 to a degree too, where you have Modern and everything. It's pretty neat how they're able to take that system and do it, but they're doing it without adding a lot of cruft to the system. I feel like they're keeping everything pretty slim and trim, right? Twilight 2000, yep, which I went through that box a while back. Yep. So lots of good stuff. And then there were some other games. I gotta find people's cards flying around. I'm trying to think of, but I'm hopefully I'm gonna get some interviews, I guess. TBD. I saw a really cool kind of Ancients Bronze Age game. Not a kind of D&D type game. It reminded me a little bit of the scope like Godbound, because it's really like you're playing, say, like a Hercules type. You're the son of a god, and you're going around and doing these trials, and you're facing these massive tasks. But the resolution system was really interesting. It was called like the Bloody Hands of. Oh, I don't have my stuff in front of me, so unfortunately I can't find it. But I'm gonna try to get him on. As I just dropped something in the background, I'm gonna try to get that author on to talk about that game, because it seemed really cool. And I felt like even just looking at the box art, looking at the art of not the box, it was a book. Looking at the book, I was like, oh man, this looks really, really cool. And there's a lot of stuff like that. I didn't push, I didn't go around saying, oh, do you want to give me review copies of everything? And plus, I just this was an expensive trip with the hotels and everything. So I didn't have much of a budget to actually buy stuff. So like I only bought one game. Everything else is stuff that I picked up along the way. Even this was kind of fun. The RPG day had a little kind of area where they had leftovers from last year's free RPG day. So I got quick start rules for Root. And the other one that I'm interested in, there's a G.I. Joe, some kind of G.I. Joe quick starter. And then a DCC. And I talked to the guys. Oh yeah, DCC was another booth I ended up at, and I talked to those guys for a while. I was asking them different things. I'm going to try to hopefully get someone from over there on the stream. They were, they had Lankmar, and there's something else that's coming out. What's coming out? Oh, they're coming out with their own Dying Earth. Unfortunately, the guy I talked to, I think the person who is most responsible for the Dying Earth stuff wasn't there. Because I was really curious. One of the things I'm curious about with this DCC Dying Earth, which I hadn't heard of before the con, because I guess I'm not plugged in like that. I'm not even a guess. I feel like I'm always caught by surprise by what's going on in this field that I've chosen to spend time in for some reason. It is what it is. They're doing a Dying Earth RPG. They didn't have anything there, but it's kind of in the works. It's coming. And I was interested to learn like what is going to be the DCC take on Vancian Magic, because I think we all know, right? Vancian Magic, Dying Earth, Minusway to D&D. It's not exactly the same in D&D as it is in Dying Earth, and I'm curious if they're really how they're going to work with it, because it seems like from what the guy was saying, the DCC Lankmar books, I don't own any of those. I haven't read any of them. That the guy who helped develop them for DCC was someone who was literally like a historian of those. Fought for the Grey Mouser stories, like someone who's really like technically, knowledgeable in everything about the fiction to really get it, as accurate sort of as you can within things. And I think they said that someone of a similar level of expertise in the Dying Earth, Jack Vance stuff is working with them on this. So it makes me really curious as to how they're going to take the kind of Vancian magic or how they're going to meld it, right? Because one of the things at DCC is the wild magic kind of spell misfire, or whatever they call it, table is one of the big things for DCC. It's what there are a few things that DCC is probably known for: funnels and the kind of crazy magic stuff. But I don't think you get that much. And I don't know. Someone can tell me if there's in the Vancian story, in the Vance stories. I don't think there's any cases of magic really misfiring. Are there? Someone who's read a bunch of them more recently than I have can answer. But so I'm wondering, you're taking this kind of in some ways a pillar or calling point, or something that's sort of on brand for DCC, but then are you going to adapt in a different way? Are you going to minimize it? Like, what are you going to do? And I'm curious kind of how they're going to do that. And also, how are they just going to differentiate their Vancian magic from the way D&D does it? I mean, so I think there's a lot of interesting stuff there. And I'm going to try to get hopefully somebody from over there, maybe closer down the line to when this stuff's coming out. Hopefully I can maybe finagle somebody and talk to them. But I made the intro, and it was always nice just talking to them, and I was asking about different kind of DCC stuff. Also managed to stop by Chaosium and talk to a couple folks over there about some of their different things. Again, nothing kind of made it on camera, but I'm trying to get myself in front of folks, and then hopefully down the line I can say, hey, remember me? Can you want to come on and talk to me about X, Y, or Z? I had those streams with Alyssa Faden, so I was asked about and she was working on those Gaslight London maps. The Gaslight, I think it's just called Gaslight Cthulhu, isn't out yet, because I was hoping I could just take a peek at that, since her maps on that were awesome. In terms of playing games, I didn't play, so I only played in one role-playing game, and I don't know if Scott is still on, J. Scott Garibay, who's a fellow tuber, and not of the vegetal variety. I don't know if you've seen his videos, but he was running this. So when you get to PAX, so I guess I can go through this because this is kind of a little bit of a sore point. So when you're signing up for games at PAX, there are a couple different vectors for games. Okay, so you want to go to PAX, you're trying to, and I'm talking about role-playing games. Board games, they have a whole other kind of setup. All right, he's still here. Awesome. A couple of vectors for signing up for games. If you're signing up for something that's the Adventures League, Wizards of the Coast, I think it's physical in person, but you got to go to kind of the Wizards. They have their own, I don't know if it's even Wizard, whatever organization's running, you got to go there and do that. Free League and a couple other folks are also running games. And look, hey, props to Free League. And there's some other group called, I think it's called Gehenna Gaming, which I need to look up because I have no idea who they are. I don't think they're publishers. I think they're just, I don't know what they do, but their games are all sold out. I mean, them and Free League, it's like if you're not there, and those you have to do online, and you got to be like 8 a.m. on the button. You've got to be there online and hammering through to get a spot. Otherwise, you're stuck trying to get in, through the reserves, which is terrible. So like Free League was running a bunch of games. They had the kind of their own room and set up, but it was constantly, all the days it was basically sold out. And unless you're getting up at the crack of dawn, and even if you are, you're still competing with a bunch of other people trying to get in there, playing a lot of the, Vasen or Vasen, however you pronounce that, and Alien and a bunch of games. So I didn't get to get into those. This Gehenna Gaming, I don't no idea who they are. They're out there. And then D&D's doing their thing, and that's all like packed to the gills. The third vector or fourth, whatever, is the just kind of open tables, indie. Anybody can come. Anybody who wants to GM can GM. You kind of make a sign-up sheet, and then you still can kind of you still sort of stand in line, but you can come in and you can sign up for games throughout the day. Now, oh wait, hold on. Brian says, have you gone through Sailors of Starless Sea? I did do that on Brian Smith on stream. I'm surprised you missed it, but yes, I absolutely did. So you should go back and search for it on the channel, Brian. It should pop up. So I knew that Scott, because I watched some of Scott's. Bad Vasen. Okay, Bad Vasen. All right. Thanks, Krister. So I've been watching Scott's videos, so I knew he was going to be at PAX, and he mentioned he's going to PAX and running this thing called 1 Hour D&D. And it's funny because when you go look at some of his videos, J. Scott Garibay, I'll pop him. Let's see. Wrong thing. Pop that there. Go check out his channel. You notice there are some, I look, it's the internet, it's YouTube. You're going to get some snarky comments. There are people in there saying, oh, 1 hour D&D, like it's impossible or whatever. And it probably sounds impossible. It certainly sounded improbable to me, but I knew that, now Scott has a lot of his materials. I'll say this for Scott. I don't necessarily agree with everything that Scott puts on his channel. And I have to talk to him at some point about OSR, because I feel like his idea of what OSR is and what at least my part of the OSR is like are not the same. So I need to talk to him about that. But this stuff's always thought provoking and interesting. And it's always in his car. I need to figure out the art of recording videos while I drive. I've done a few shorts just sitting in my car, like in a parking lot. He literally is driving and recording at the same time, which is something I don't think I'm ready for. I'm not at that level. But he's been talking about this 1 hour D&D. He's been saying, hey, I'm coming to PAX. And I said, all right, you know what? I'm going to try to get in the game. So the first day, I don't know if this Friday or it was, so it's Friday. I went in and looked. His game was sold out. Oh, Scott, there he was on there. Yep, Brian Smith, you are correct. Sold out, or not sold out. He was a full. So I think I put myself as an alternate. But then I did end up going and playing a board game, and I came back a few minutes after 8, and I just saw Scott from afar, kind of playing his game, and the table was full. I mean, even if there had been a spot, there was nowhere to sit. So I was like, okay, well, Saturday, I'm going to be back earlier, because this was in the evening, because I went and I played in that Starship Captains game from Czech Games Editions, which was, I think I posted the picture of it, and I'll probably do like a little, just not really a review, but just kind of a play, thoughts of play, and it was fun. It was fun. But so that was Friday. It's like, okay, Saturday I'm going to come back. I'm going to be here early. I'm going to get on that. If I see the sign up sheet, I'm signing up for it. Sure enough, like at 9 a.m., there's a bunch of us queued outside the hall, outside the this room where they're doing it. So we come in, and I see Scott's game. So I was first name on the list. And then, of course, I thought it was in the wrong room. So I come back and I'm actually sitting in this room at like 2:50, and then it's 2:55, and the game starts at 3. And I'm thinking, like, I don't see anybody. I don't see Scott. I don't see these other people. And first I'm like, oh, maybe he's running late. But now I'm starting to think maybe it's me. And it turns out that there are actually a couple of rooms for this indie gaming. And I was in the room where you do all the signups, and I had played in another game. It was more of a board game, but it was cool. It was sort of it was like a lighter version of Gloomhaven, which I liked a lot. I'll probably talk about that another time. Or I will definitely talk about another time. But I'm thinking, okay, maybe I'm in the wrong place. So I go and I pull up the picture, and because they say to take a picture of the sign-up sheet so it gives you all the information. So I go and I look at my picture of the information, and I'm looking at it, and I'm like, okay, room 118A or something like that. And I go, there's someone, a couple people sitting there, volunteers, information. Like, well, what room were we in? Oh, we're in 115A. And I'm thinking, like, oh gosh, so where's 118A? And it's like way around this hallway, down a corridor, like way down this other thing. So I hustle, get there. So of course I'm the last person sitting at the table, which I felt bad. I felt bad about that. I felt like, here I am rolling in, and now it's like 3:05. Scott was very gracious. He didn't punish me at all, which I appreciate. Also didn't recognize me. Oh, everything was masked up too. So there was there's definitely, it's which I was fine for, but it didn't mean, you could be walking by somebody that and if there's a good chance that they're not going to even recognize you. So Scott's got this 1 hour D&D, and that's how he so everyone's sitting down, and it was me, and I think there was three other people, and Scott's got these boxes of boxes of tricks. He's got. And again, this stuff's all, if you've been to Scott's channel, if you look at later, this stuff will all be very familiar to you, because he's talked about it a lot. But what I told Scott after the game was that, look, lots of folks talk about stuff on their channel. Okay. I include myself in that. It's always an open question. I think it's kind of that matter of trust of, do you think that this creator who is talking about X, Y, or Z or doing stuff is actually doing the things that they're saying, or are they just saying the things? Now, I feel like you should always be a little bit dubious until you build up some kind of track record with someone. It's like, is this person really doing these things? So Scott, if you go on his channel, has lots of videos and lots of shorts about all these connections between D&D and these other products, D&D and Yahtzee through the Yahtzee dice. You know, and I think I showed it on channel before. I'm only not tilting this all my dice, right? Like that. D&D and Magic, which we've known about, but you know, he even goes beyond other things. D&D and Legos, D&D and all this stuff. And it sounds great. It's like, oh, okay, fine. But okay, you know, like for real, right? Oh, okay, this is cute. Oh, you can do stuff with minifigs. Yeah, sure. Well, you sit down and Scott's got all these kind of Lego minifigures out there. And he's like, you know, pick your, and I think Scott can, I think this was how it was. He said like, hey, like, what class do you want to play? Because we have, and now keep in mind, no character sheets. We have not been given any character sheets. And when we're playing 1 hour D&D, right? 1 hour D&D, 5th edition. I'm going to say 5th edition in quotes, because I feel like this is probably, you could probably argue whether you're still actually playing 5th edition at that point. I'm not even saying that's a bad thing. I mean, I almost think it's like a positive thing, but right, 5th edition D&D, we have no character sheets. We sat down. At some point, he handed us note cards, but I don't remember if he handed note cards. My order of operations might be a little bit confused. You know, pick what do you want to play, and I think someone's like, oh, he's like, oh, here's and I think we picked our class first, and I'm pretty sure I was like, oh, I'll play an art. I don't know why I picked that. I said like might have said an artificer, and it was like a guy with goggles. And someone else is like, oh, I want to play a cleric. And so he was just handing out the minifigures. And then it was like, well, do you want to play, these are all humans. Do you want to play something different than human? And me and another guy picked, I think we both picked a Warforged. So then Scott had these like really cool kind of, one of them, he just took like these, looked like the Tony Stark, Spider-Man, extra arms, those extra like talon arm things from his Spider-Man costume, and just boom. And that's one guy's. Warforged. Then my Warforged was a different kind of creature who had like, I don't know, kind of funky legs. But and then he's just taking these bits and putting them together. It's great. Now you're that. Now you're that. Now the rogue's over here. Boom. And then he's like, here's some note cards, and and he's got a stack of magic cards also. I think just like a stack of like dungeon cards, and then a stack of dragon cards. And he's got a big, massive 20-sided die and a bunch of smaller 20-sided dice. And so that was it. And that was character generation. Pick your class, click your species, and all you have is this minifig. But the minifig is really cool because it's just this neat representation. It reminded me a lot of there's if you've ever seen the Tiny Epic board games, they come in little boxes, and if I'd thought about it more in advance, I could have gotten one. I have called Tiny Epic at Defenders, and they do something like that where you have your little meeple who's your guy, and in that game you can pick up some like special weapons and things, and then you just attach them. So like you're playing the game in Tiny Epic Defenders, and like, oh, you find this magic axe. So you go in the little box and you find they have a little plastic magic axe, and you just stick the plastic magic axe to your minifig, and that just shows you, or in that case, the meeple, and that just shows, oh, you have the magic axe. This is working the same way. Oh, you are a Warforged artificer, so you've got like whatever, and I don't know. He gave me something like some kind of tool. It's like, here's your kind of artificer thing, and you just stick it on the meeple's hand. So you just look at it, and there you go, artificer, Warforged, bam, and this is like 2 minutes. I mean, this isn't rolling all your dice and then doing all this thing, or like going through sheets and looking at all his abilities. That's it. Hey, what do you want to play? Boom. Here's the minifig. What do you want to do? Okay, we'll just kind of modify the minifig. Boom, you're done. And then he had, which I think is really nifty. I'll need to find some photos of it. Maybe I feel like Scott needs to do a longer video, maybe from not in a car, where he could lay out all these things. But he had this really a little thin Lego base, and then you had these different amounts of colored other Lego spots put on there, and that indicated basically your different attributes. But it was basically all abstracted to just physical, mental, and I think maybe your proficiency. Scott, you can remind me if I'm off here, but it's basically like your mental characteristics, your physical characteristics, and then your it might have been proficient something else. And I think we were playing like 4th or 5th character. A Perkins asked, what happens when a Lego figure cannot stand? My figure could not stand. I was missing the feet. I was missing the feet on the thing, and it was just, you just leaned it over. But the thing is here, which is, again, what I'll appreciate, this was not a sense where Scott's then going to build a whole one-to-one terrain that we're playing on. It was very much about visualizing, but we're still in sort of this theater of the mind. It's basically just giving us an idea of, we just see quickly who our characters are, and then we can kind of get some spatial relationships, which I'll get into when I get into kind of what the scenario was. But it wasn't around like trying to build up a whole Lego universe and have us kind of taking step by step through it. So then when you have this little thing in front of you, you can just count the pips or the rows. So you can say, okay, if Scott says, all right, what's your mental attributes? You can use your proficiency. You just count, say, oh, okay, I got 1, 2, 3, 4 mental, and then I got 1, 2 proficiency, so I add 6. I mean, it seems weird, but like within like a minute, it's like super easy to grasp. You're not worrying about any of those other attributes. It's just either mental, physical, and then whether you can add your thing to it. And then for Scott, because we had a couple of spellcasters, we had one was a cleric, and then it might have been a warlock. And Scott was like, "Look, you have access to all the spells. Like, don't even worry. We're not getting into spell list. But if you have so many spells you can cast, and then if you try to cast, you can try to cast a spell that's over your level, but you're gonna roll. You basically have to make a save. If you fail your save, you're not going to work. And then I think if you got like a nat 1, you're going to fall unconscious, or it might even been died. If you were like, think of like if it's a level 9 spell, like you try to cast Wish and you fail and you roll a natural 1, it's like you're toast, you're dead. Let's see. Ian says, sounds like D&D distilled down almost to a lasers and feelings. Yeah, very. I mean, it's very much. I think distill is a great way to put it. Very, very distilled. So right off the bat, and I feel like, I think I mentioned this, like I think that Scott could either just come up with some really simple, almost spell categories, or just go with kind of free form casting, just keeping in mind what we're doing. Because one of the things I mentioned was when I was trying to look up, because I don't know much about artificers. And I was looking up like everything for artificer is gated in D&D Beyond. So I couldn't really access much. I had to try to. I did finally dig up the Unearthed Arcana had the artificer in it, but you don't want to be reading that stuff while you're playing. And Scott is moving fast, and obviously we're playing 1 hour D&D and everything's going. So the last thing that I'm trying to do is sit there and read through a little PDF on my phone. But I think I said, and the other thing with Scott, with all these spells and everything, Scott's knowledge of D&D in terms of the fiction, I mean, it's well beyond. I'm sure there are other folks that have as much, but I'm like, I don't know a tenth of what he knows. So he's able to really just riff on stuff and talk about. So when I was like, so when I'm sitting there in the game, I'm like, can I build? I think you can build like an artillery. Can I build something? He's like, yes, you can do that, absolutely. And then he's also giving out these kind of inspirational bits when we're doing stuff, which is where he's using the magic cards. So you had dungeons and you had dragons. And I think the deal was you had to have one dungeon card and I think one of each color dragon card, and then you leveled up. And just as you're doing stuff cool, he's like, man, I think that's cool. Bam, here's a card. And then you build them up. He also let me turn mine in, I think, to get advantage or add a plus. I think I failed to roll by 1. And he's like, hey, man, you got 3 dragons in a dungeon there. You want to turn those in, and turn that into a success? I'm like, yes, I do. And he was like, awesome. And someone's like, when someone named their character, he's like, bam, take a card. You named your character. Someone did something cool. Bam, that's awesome. Take that. It was all like, yes. And this is what happens. And he was using his big 20-sided die basically to show none of the attributes were hidden, right? So, he would say like, okay, so in our situation we were in Waterdeep trying to get these really cool, and I don't know if Scott made these up, if they're part of the lore of the Forgotten Realms. I have no idea. It's really cool. It's these coins that are sort of half forged by elves, half forged by these dwarves, super powerful. And there's basically a great load of them that's coming on a ship. We've been tasked to get them. We arrive at Waterdeep Harbor. The ship is incoming, but it's not stopping. And we're looking and we don't see anybody on the ship. So it's basically seems to be just coming, going to crash into the docks. And not only that, oh, Scott says those coins were his own idea. Awesome. Super powerful and awesome. And then we're waiting on the docks and we notice and we make some kind of checks. And okay, we see that there's some kind of elvish squad over here. There's a dwarven squad over there. And there's some like rogue behind us. So everyone is just waiting for this thing to come, clearly converging on it. And now it seems like some kind of ghost ship that's just crashing aboard. So the one artificer, the one, I think it might have been a cleric, was able to do something to slow the boat down. Our rogue climbs up the side of the building and starts engaging with those elves and throwing elves off the top of the building. I built, what did I build? Like one of those like mangonel or whatever, and I was shooting it into the melee, and all this stuff's happening with very little of the slowdown that happens with normal 5th edition. Because Scott's just saying, okay, these elves, you got to beat 15. He just put 15 on the big die. That's a physical task, whatever. You got your proficiency, that you're going to be plus 6 hits. So you got to roll an 8 or, whatever, 9 or more. Hit that. Boom. This is happening. Oh, great. That's awesome. Here's a card. Oh, you named your character. Here's a card. In the middle of combat, one of the guys had fulfilled it. He had 5 dragon cards, 1 dragon, one of each color, and then a dungeon. So turn them in. Boom. Here you level up, and then it was leveling up was super easy. All it was do you want to add 1 to your physical, or do you want to add 1 to your mental? So you just pick one of those 2 things, and then you just physically put another piece of Lego in there. Boom, done. So then we managed to take out all the teams, and then we get on the boat, and then we see the coins, and we have a little bit of a social encounter with a prisoner on the boat, and then we have to decide what we're going to do. We end up freeing the prisoner because we determined through Zone of Truth, he saw the truth, he's been unjustly imprisoned. We were able to, one of the players cast, I think, greater invisibility or group invisibility, whatever invisibility on us, so we were all able to get off the boat. We ended up deciding to, instead of fulfilling our initial contract, we decided to deliver them all to the name of the big cheese in Waterdeep, who happens to be an elf. And so we get kind of a nice ending. And Scott mentioned that I think he was running this in different days. They were all segments of the same kind of overall story, but that, say if I wasn't able to make it the next day, but if I was able to come back, I would have then experienced a different part of the story. And yes, 1 hour we were done, including the setup. Very fast moving. The 5th edition, it seems to me, is really just about setting it's almost like, I almost want to call it like fictional mechanics, because we're not, it's D20, and now we're rolling D20s, and we're using the very same, if we really drill down to just core, not even 5th edition, just kind of core D20 era D&D, we're rolling D20s, we're rolling modifiers against the target. We're using the D20 system. Outside of that, 5th edition really only comes into play. You have the lore of Forgotten Realms. You're playing in Forgotten Realms. That was obviously huge. And then in terms of kind of the framework of what things are, right? So I'm an artificer. So the idea of what an artificer is comes from the 5th edition artificer. But other than that, it's not very much 5th edition. And I don't say that in a bad way. I think it's a great way, because it avoids a lot of the stuff that I think you can get hung up on. Because the people who will comment in Scott's video saying, well, you can't play 1 hour 5th edition. It's like, no, if you're going to play by the book 5th edition in 1 hour, you're not going to be very far, especially if you get into some kind of combat like we did, where we had we were just 3 individuals, and there was, I think, 3 elves, 5 or 6 dwarves, and then that rogue. So you're talking like 15, 20 combatants. No, they'd still be fighting that battle potentially in a 5th. They would take your whole 4-hour setup, might just be playing through that battle. So just as Ian said, just distilling it down, and it was a lot of fun. I think all our questions were like, hey, do you think you can could you do this for more than an hour if you felt like you wanted to? Because it was a lot of fun. And Scott, a lot of energy, a lot of the kind of stuff. I mean, it's almost that kind of stuff that folks only want to, like, hey, being very much like yes and, right, hey, like, yeah, you can do that, like here's how you do it. Like we're not worrying about the nitty-gritty details. We're not trying to read through a description and find out something. It's like, hey, can I do this? Yes, you can. Here's what you need to do it. Great. And then okay, you fail, this is what happens instead, right? We managed to slow the boat, but it still jammed, it still hits the docks. We all had to make saves. I think we all failed our save to then fall prone. The folks are kind of scrambling to do that. Someone got into death saves, but I think we managed to heal them, or they were down to the nitty gritty. The hit points was all something else that was totally abstracted. You had like you could get like 2 wounds and then you're dying basically. So again, we weren't sitting there counting a whole bunch of hit points. It was just 2 wounds and we're down. It was really a really interesting way to play, and I think it's something that really, it feels really neat to be playing that in kind of in person, because I think having the minifigures, being able to, we had this kind of setup at one point in the battle where he just had 2 bases of like Lego board to show kind of where the ship was. And then we just had roughly our figures about where they were. So the elves, even though they're on top of a building, you just kind of had them off to one side, and the dwarves were off to another side, and the rogues over here. And so we just kind of see spatially where we are, but we weren't counting squares. There's no concept of, oh, you got to move 30 feet and let me figure out 30 feet. No, okay, let me figure out this circle of effect. No, it's just like, yeah, boom, you hit them, and then you just move. and it was a lot. It was a lot of fun. I'll probably do a separate video. I probably won't stream it, but I'll probably do another video just so I can maybe go over it. It'll be a little bit more, maybe not so rushed because I'm cognizant I'm over an hour. Um, and do a little more of it, but it was really fun, and it definitely sold me on like, yes, this is a concept you totally can do. I'm sure there will be folks who are going to say this is not fifth edition, not for me, because it isn't very fifth edition other than the trappings. But hey, I don't care about that. It's fun with me. I mean, everyone, the people who are on the game with me didn't care a lick that it wasn't more fifth edition or that we weren't dealing with the mechanics. I think everyone was pretty much like, oh, this is really cool. And it's just so fast. That speed of being able to get into it and just and doing it and just playing like if you can imagine what a D&D fifth edition game with the kind of the trappings, the fiction, whatever could feel like, and it's just sort of free moving and free flowing. This was a really good um, take on that. And I think having the physicality of having the pieces and stuff just makes it just a real tactile sense where you can see like this is my guy and I've got this thing. So now I actually just plug the thing into my character and it's just it shows it there. And I'm collecting the 5 dragons and dungeon cards to level up and just super fun. Really happy that I made it. Thanks to Scott for GMing and frankly coming up with the whole system. If you do go to his channel and check out some of his videos and you see stuff and you wonder like, I don't think this will work. Well, I can tell you it worked. Again, like I'm sure there are people who will just say, well, that's not really fifth edition anymore, or the whole argument like, how much do you change fifth edition before it stops being fifth edition or stops being D&D and it becomes something else? Like I don't care. I don't care. It was fun. It was fun. I can't imagine really having more fun playing that kind of game in an hour than I had, which is, I mean, that's all you want at the end of the day is it's fun. And then people can call it whatever they want. They want to call it Scott and D. Uh, that's fine. I such details are unimportant to a man of my stature. Just had a lot of fun. And it was great meeting Scott. I only got to talk to him for a few minutes. But hopefully, I'll see you again, Scott, at some other occasion. But yeah, it was a really good time. I just one thing is I don't envy you having to carry cart all that stuff around because you got a lot of props. There's a lot of props there, a lot of stuff. I think for it's brave of you to cart all that to a con game. I mean, well, a lot of people bring a lot of props and stuff to con games, so different things. So I guess you're in good company there. But for like a home game, it's great. And again, you're not trying to go super deep into Lego with all the terrain and stuff. It's really fascinating how you're just finding these ways to take these like Lego pieces and stuff and turn it into these um basically what do you just a way of visualizing these kind of abstracted things. But just having those little you just look at it as a little row of things and be able to see at a glance. Oh yeah, I've got 7 in this. So I'll boom. Oh, my mental's only this much. Boom. Oh, I leveled up. I get to add one to one of these or other. Oh, that's great. Boom. Just bam on it. A lot of fun. Says it fits in one crate, they increase their strength by 1. Yeah, I definitely believe it. I definitely believe it. So definitely check out his stuff. You can see more on the. I think Scott, you need to put a video where you're putting all this stuff together because I can only speak about it from the players from a playing standpoint, and I'm sure folks would love to get kind of a real rundown of how you work it from the GM side. But yeah, that was a lot of fun. That was the highlight. That was the highlight of the con. I know I am over time, so I'll have a bunch more follow-up stuff. I do have some more videos to drop on a few things, people I talked to, and like I said, I'm going to try to use these connections I attempted to forge to get some more interviews and stuff, talking about some upcoming things. Cobalt Press and Chaosium and a bunch of stuff. So hopefully some of that, who knows? I know folks, you come back from the con and you're all just drained out and then stuff ends up by the wayside. So we'll see how many I'm able to convert from, oh, this sounds like a great thing to do to actually doing it. But I'm going to give it a good old college try. But yeah, that in essence was PAX. There'll probably be stuff that I forgot to mention. I'll come back and mention later. That was it. It was a good time, and I'm glad to have finally gotten home, though it took me a little bit by hook or by crook, but I'm back. So that's it. So thanks, folks. If you feel like giving this a thumbs up on your way out, that'd be awesome. If you enjoy this, you're not subscribed, you feel like subscribing, that would also be awesome. Otherwise, Have a great rest of your day. Thanks again, Scott, for running that game. Thanks. I mean, look, patrons and all the folks you guys made it possible for me to even get over to PAX. So thank you very much. I will be putting out posts about the giving away some Blade Runner stuff, the core rules, the DM screen, and a starter kit. So if you want to join the channel and contribute via Patreon or via channel memberships, this is a good time to do it because that giveaway is going to be coming before the holidays. I'm going to try anyway. So there's that. But other than that, game on, everybody. And I will talk to you later. Bye now.